对啊，有啦，头盔。
点20个，总共6个加5，6个加5点下去，现在剩下1个加5跟1个加7，靠背，1个加7，加5加6加7啊。
可以留着啊，6的也可以留着，它可以做10%的，10%的不一定会过，反正你要很多的钢铁装去做嘛，
嗯，
它的收藏都要吃，它都是要做。
都是要做这个我知道。
对啊，它的收藏全部都是要做，所以那钢铁装点到5以上我都可以留着。
吃下去，它没，它只变开道也是直接吃吗？
没有，纸变它不会帮你吃。
只有红变以下嘛？
对，可是纸娃会哦，纸娃会帮你吃。
哦，
政府给的解释是娃娃变色，娃娃的数量比较少，所以就会
呃，
帮你变色掉。对啊，变身数量比较大，所以它就会让你可以去重抽，让你选择要不要吃这样。
了解。
嗯，没有白房了啊，还是挂机了。哦，白房点光光。 哟，随时也过了。
我拉20双，加5的6双，第1双就过了。
对啊，那其他的放着啊。
哎呀，其他的放着。
哦，可以去做收藏啊。
只是没有赎回，没办法点而已。
不用赎回啊，归零用归零点。
归零点到+7吗？
对啊，没有啦，
很硬
你一样是
先点到+5吧，之后有赎回再来点住房吧。
没有啊，你就我们都是用，因为它这个赎回卷很难的、很难有赎回，所以我们都是用那个归零去点，就是点到4就上保护嘛，然后用白的点到5啊，没过就是花1张保护和4张白房而已嘛。
哦，我
反正就是
懂意思了，我懂意思了。
对，就是用白房堆到5，然后保护之后点住房，让它跳2。
哦，
对，都不是用
所以+7还听起来+7还可以啊，只是再上去+8就是要用赎回比较划算了，不然你还要再
你没看我们装备都+7而已，因为没有赎回啊。赎回有啦，可是数量不多，都拿去点武器比较多。
没关系啊，我先把它点到+5，等一下再来搞。
可以先全部点到+5就好。
因为我昨天那一双我昨天搞的那个鞋子是手套啦，手套点2张，两张啦，点2张，点1张赎回就上去了。
没有赎回会留着，留着点武器。它赎回不好，那我没得买。它赎回没得买，只有推广可以买，而且1张要200。
对啊，我去推广才发现，你5推才1天才10块。除非有那个啦，除非是那个什么，那个直播的话，可能就比较快了。可是因为它月卡也是200那个。
对啊，你就像肖一样啊，肖就有直播加推广。
晚一点来问他直播怎么搞。
可是直播要手动哦，不能挂机。
没问题啊。靠北按错。
对我来讲问题很大啊。
也不要说对你来讲啊，就是对大部分的也都是有问题，好不好？
我根本不会想手动打怪，全部都是开挂机。手动打王也可以啊，对啊。
可是你手动打王也是要最少打满1个小时吧？
对啊，他就是他直播看直播时间了，看你要多久啊。对啊，否则你就晚上回来人在就开始直播嘛，尽量凑给他1个小时或几个小时吧。对啊，应该在主城跑来跑去啊。
其实如果耐得住的话，任务解完也只差8个任务还没解完就那个啦。啊，只是，对啦，其实你就是挂机可以动一下动一下，人还是要在吧？
嗯，对啊，大部分要手动。任务解完了，阿卡打完了，是的，哦，快了哦，28分哦。
Get a bit with the temperature, ground temperature is nearly there, but then that air temperature is freezing cold and a lot of wind, a lot of crosswind, so play it safe with the soft front. We know the limitations, like I said, and yeah, fingers crossed we'll be there at the end of the race.
That sounds like the big question mark across the grid, the front tyre choice. What are the pros and cons of both?
Yeah, like I said, the soft obviously is going to be able to get in the temperature working range pretty easy, but of course you have a lot more collapse. I know a lot of the other manufacturers are having a lot of grinding issues.
多好点，不好点，多难点，不难点。
We haven't had that all weekend.
搞得我现在又天币又快打
了。But
很快啊，天币很好花。
Obviously with the medium,
光点装备这个天币就花钱。
Obviously if you're in the back,
可是你也说点装备会花到钱，其他就不会花到钱。你不点装，你天币也花不到，就挂机了。
Have a good one, mate.
Cheers, then.
Thanks, Jack, and thanks another Jack. You know that the wind is potentially a key factor because you could just sense a little bit of anxiety in the voice of Jack Miller, who doesn't really care one iota what as he mentioned now, it was a couple of Ducatis that seemed to be suffering from braking on that soft front tyre, and as Jack so brilliantly points out, the soft front certainly get up to optimal at a quicker rate than the medium. It will better turnings with the extra edge grip, but you are going to sacrifice some braking stability.
不用带，他就可以睡午觉了啊。
At Silverstone, what's going through Gigi Dall'Igna's mind as he saw Ducati defeated in the Grand Prix for the first time since Austin last year. Johan Zarco denying Ducati a record-breaking 23rd successive victory as the fans wait with bated breath. We are what, just over 10 minutes away from lights out for the Tessot Grand Prix of the United Kingdom.
3分呢哦，
我没有说有关系，我是
discussed it yesterday before
是觉得
difficulty of whether you engage and disengage the front start devices at the optimum moment. It's not a particularly hard braking zone into Abbey Corner. The first big braking event on this Silverstone lap is into the third corner, that is the village corner, the tight right-hander, and it's usually a bit of a bottleneck into that corner. As you can see, we've got 10 different MotoGP winners here in our last 10 Grand Prix to take place here.
关于这个问题嘛，我认为哦，我也是不相信。
有人妖啊！
这个让我想到，我今天刷到一个那个什么，一个文章，他说他就是他跟他朋友在聊天的这个文章，他说他一开始在夜店。认识一对夫妻，一对年轻的夫妻，就年纪几乎都相同。然后酒喝下去，然后就在那边聊天啊，然后就突然提到说，对方哦是对方的老婆女生提议说，我们要不要3P 之类的。 那个事主就觉得说，哎，玩那么大吗？然后就去，好，因为有喝酒，然后就去了之后。就一开始女生就有前戏了，然后就贴近开始亲啊什么什么之类的。但是突然，那个男生那个老公直接脱他裤子，然后叼着他的老二，这个然后后来就说，他一开始很错愕的状况下，他就觉得。好像其实也还好，然后就又继续搞，然后到后面他朋友问他一句话，所以你是第二节车厢吗？还是夹心饼干的概念？
夹心饼干，哎呀，
我玩比较怕你，
这个口味太重，没办法。
我你这标记是要开始拍了。
要拍人，你有跑啊，有跑就跑啊，无就等下15分有迄机器谈啊。
Wow, Emily Yarrow with the rendition of God Save the King. Who will be the king of the British Grand Prix
对啊，哦，迄出价都好录
的。
看有时无聊，我一录就打4点钟。
British Grand Prix victory from pole position. Can he end Yamaha's long victory drought dating back to the Saxonry in 2022? Can Alex Marquez do the double for the first time in his MotoGP career, starting alongside him in second? And can the factory Ducatis make progress from third and fourth on the grid? Davide Tardozzi speaking down to Jack.
Davide, big race ahead, but Mark yesterday feeling that maybe second was a good result, but we know what Marc Marquez is like. It's been a tough weekend for Pecco. What are the confidence levels like for him to bounce back?
Yeah, it's a shame that this morning was wet because yesterday the engineers has a good idea, very tough changement on the setting, but we couldn't test during the warm-up, so we'll see what it's going to be. But anyway, we will start with the same setting, or slightly the setting of yesterday, because the other one was too strong to go on race straight. But anyway, I think that today Alex will be the favorite again, and we'll see if our riders can be able to fight for the podium.
Thanks, Davide.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Thanks to factory Ducati boss Davide Tardozzi, echoing the sentiments of his riders, Mark and Pecco, who've already picked Alex Marquez as the pre-race favourite. Davide Tardozzi, the boss, not disagreeing with his superstar duo, Fermin Aldeguer. Is he 20 laps away from taking the accolade of youngest ever MotoGP winner away from Marc Marquez? This is his last chance. Last chance saloon for the 20-year-old who is 20 years and 50 days today. Marc Marquez's record when he took the youngest rider winning record away from Freddie Spencer, he was 20 years and 63 days. Perfect timing, because we're going to talk about the Gresini racing riders with the boss Michele Massini. Alex Marquez, the big favourite, having taken victory in the sprint yesterday, and Aldeguer flying away from fifth. What are the thoughts of the boss? Michele joins Jack.
Michele, obviously, Alex the big favourite for this one. Just how important will it be for him to be patient in this race?
Yeah, it will be crucial, like yesterday, to manage well the front tyre, because yesterday we had the right setup to keep the maximum potential from the front tyre until the end of the sprint. Today will be different with the front tyre management, but I think that we will play our card also today.
We didn't see Fermin's potential yesterday. Can he fight for the podium, do you think?
I hope that he could be fight for the top 5 at least today.
Thanks, Michele. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jack. Thanks to Gresini boss Michele Massini. They know this is a big chance for the double. Fabio Quartararo limbering up getting himself ready for this 20-lap Grand Prix of the United Kingdom. The race winner here at Silverstone back in 2021. That day he was Yamaha's first winner here since Valentino Rossi in the monsoon conditions of 2015. Since then, though, since his victory 4 years ago, the 26-year-old Frenchman has not finished higher than 8th. I'm sure he'll be looking, though, as he said yesterday, top 5, top 6 would be a good result. Chatter problems yesterday really slowed him late on in that sprint, particularly in the low grip conditions around Silverstone. So we are what now? Less than 5 minutes away from lights out for our 7th chapter in the 2025 MotoGP World Championship. 19 points is the gap between Marc and Alex Marquez after Alex's brilliant victory, commanding victory in the sprint yesterday. I believe it was the second biggest winning margin in a sprint since the new era kicked off at the start of 2023. 3.5 seconds, he took the checker flag clear. Fair to say, Marquez eased off towards the tail end of that sprint, taking the 9 points and thinking bigger picture of the World Championship. As Quartararo then gets himself in the zone, gets himself ready for what potentially, or what he'll be hoping for, is a first Grand Prix victory since the Saxon Ring in 2022. Just look at the concentration running through his mind, isn't he? Alex Marquez, start, the perfect first lap, and how this race might unfold. You can just see there the impact of the wind. Quartararo's umbrella lady really having to cling on for dear life onto that Monster Energy umbrella. So a pretty tough gig down there today, holding on to those umbrellas. So Quartararo, he's on the soft medium tyre. Well, Fabio feels that in the cool conditions, it's the front that's going to give him the best chance. Yamaha's long run without a victory. There are the two Marquez brothers on your screen. Top two of the World Championship. Pecco Bagnaia finds a way from third on the grid. 2022. Fabio Quartararo. In the British Grand Prix.
他又是我
不太想在普通打架，这不能。
来喽来喽，来看，跑掉了啊！怎么会掉？
我铺那个特效，它会变得动作很缓慢，
它会顿。我铺的特效会顿。
对啊。他在那边乖乖给你紫色。
哎呀，就在上面一直给我射啊！对不起啊，我的伤害不够高啊，对不起。
赖董也是王子啊。哦 ，Peter 也是王子啊。对了，要王子啊，王子多一点。哎，那谁？阿姨规工诶，恁在拢无讲对。
So 2 weeks on from a fantastic and phenomenal French Grand Prix in front of a record weekend crowd for MotoGP at the iconic Bugatti circuit. We come to another legacy event. Welcome to the British Grand Prix in 2025 here at the super fast Silverstone. Where we could be in store for an 11th different 11 MotoGP races here. It's some roll call, isn't it? Over the last 10 years, Lorenzo, Marquez, Rossi, Vinales, Dovizioso, Rins, Quartararo, Bagnaia, and later Spargo, and most recently, Enea Bastianini. Alex Marquez, already a sprint winner here this weekend at Silverstone. Will he make it? 11 different names on the top step of the podium in the Grand Prix of the United Kingdom. The warm-up lap is underway. Not particularly warm conditions here at Silverstone. Those blue skies off into the distance, somewhat deceptive. It is rather cool in this part of the East Midlands. ambient temperature only around 16 degrees. We have had some absolute classic battles here at Silverstone since we returned here, 15 years ago now, back in 2010. The classic between Alex Rins and Marc Marquez in 2019 still remains the 4th closest Premier Class finish in history. The gap of 6.6 seconds covering the top 10 here 3 years ago in 2022. The 3rd closest top 10 in MotoGP history. And the 6th closest top 15 in the same race. We seldom get dull MotoGP races here, do we, at Silverstone. Ducati victorious last year. Last August, of course, with the Beast, and Ducati looking to bounce back from a rare defeat last time out at Le Mans. Johann Zarco's brilliant mastery of those rain conditions in front of his ecstatic home crowd saw Ducati defeat on a Sunday for the first time since Maverick Vinales won in Austin pretty much 12 months ago. That brought an end, an abrupt end to Ducati's almost record-breaking run of 22 successive Premier Class victories. They are the big favourites to have normal service resumed, I guess you could say, here at Silverstone. A weekend attendance of just under 100,000 fans. And of course, this is the earliest ever British Grand Prix in history. We've never been here this early in a Grand Prix season. And next year, well, we're going back to our more traditional August slot on the calendar. A date for your diaries, British fans. August the 7th, 8th and 9th is when we'll be back here for the 2026 British Grand Prix.
The entire sheet which has just been sent our way from Michelin, and there is a real split across the front tyre range. Everyone's on the medium rear, but a number of key runners, including our pole sitter Fabio Quartararo and Jack Miller on the Yamahas, are on the soft front. One ride on the hard front, that's Juan Mir.
Here we go then, folks. We have almost completed the countdown to Chapter 7 in this year's MotoGP World Championship. 3 successive poles for Fabio Quartararo, performing her up. The only mistake then has put Mark at the front of this British Grand Prix early on. Quartararo in 2nd place. Bagnaia started in P3. He's in P3 right now. Aldeguer 4th. Luca Marini's had a great start. He's up from 7th to 5th.
Well, for the World Championship, that could be a hammer blow for Alex Marquez. Marc Marquez already with a 19-point advantage, could potentially stretch that out to 44 if he takes advantage of that. Unfortunately for Alex Marquez, too much too soon.
Yeah, this is just nowhere near enough temperature in the tyre and the brakes. He got a great start, the perfect start, and just look at that, he barely tipped in. He had barely tipped into that first corner. What did Michele Massini, Cusini Boss, tell Jack, 5 minutes ago? This is a race where you have to be patient, you have to be calm, and Alex Marquez, well, what a blow. What a blow. Just look at that. He had barely even carried any kind of lean angle, and he was on the floor. They can't believe it, can they, at BK8 Gresini Racing, as Mark really starts to stretch his legs here early on. Up ahead of Quartararo by over 3/4 of a second, and we come to complete this dramatic lap 1 here at Silverstone.
Manna from heaven for Marc Marquez. Of course, he wouldn't want his brother to crash out in that kind of scenario, but for the race and for the World Championship, he couldn't have envisaged a better scenario. Jack Miller coming through on Luca Marini up into 5th place with Yamaha's 2nd and 5th now. Fabio Di Gianantonio, podium finish yesterday, is still where he started in 7th.
Well, after the 2 crashes in the French Grand Prix, which really put a dent in his early championship charge, it's going to be successive DNFs on Sundays, isn't it now, for Alex Marquez? Frankie Morbidelli, it's not going to be a 200th Grand Prix start for him to remember. He's gone down. Likewise, experienced Honda test rider Aleix Espargaro, 2023 British Grand Prix winner. Aleix crashed out on that experimental RC213V. Gets lifted big time there, coming through the loop.
Morbidelli and Aleix Espargaro are both on the soft front tyre. Alex Marquez was on the medium front, so we've already lost 3 in the first lap and a quarter of this Grand Prix. So the yellows out in the 4th sector. It looks like they've gone down together down at Vale.
Yeah, rather frustrating trudge away from the scene for Aleix Espargaro. As he mentioned, he was one of our 10 different winners in the last 10 Grand Prix here at Silverstone. Through the high-speed Woodcote right-hander we go. Fifth gear here, breathtaking part of this Silverstone circuit. Into Copse we go then on lap 2 of 20. Alex Marquez from second on the grid, leading the field into turn 1 before he crashed out of contention. Early heartache for the Spanish rider. A further back, Quattro second, Mangai third, Aldeguer fourth.
Is that down? Someone's down, coming through Maggott to Beckett.
Oh, it's Marc Marquez! Marc Marquez! The two Marquez brothers have crashed out of the lead in the British Grand Prix. Can you believe what you are seeing here? The red flag is out. Red flag has been waved. Unbelievable for the second week in a row here at the Silver in MotoGP. We're getting high drama, aren't we? As Marc Marquez tucks the front, going through Maggots and Beckett's. Just look how far he's gone through. On the right-hand side, there'll be some friction burns there. He headbutts one of the barriers as well. Red flag is out halfway around that 2 of 20.
Unbelievable.
Extraordinary start. Oil spillage on the track, so did Mark crash on oil there? Through Maggott, so was there oil spilled down at Vale when we saw Morbidelli and of course Alex Spargo put together? That red flag was not brought out due to either of the Marquez brothers crashing, I don't believe. Oil down somewhere on the racetrack, which we might well spare. Both of the Marquez brothers were only on lap 2.
Yeah, Mark has, 5 minutes, doesn't he, to get back to the pits with his bike, and then he'll be able to make the restart. Yeah, Alex Spargo then, we haven't as yet seen the replay of the Morbidelli Alex Spargo incident. Marc Marquez has then got his bike back to the pits. There you can see Frankie Morbidelli just being wheeled back in by the marshals on the rather badly damaged 21 bike at the moment.
还是要来打那个灵魂石，这边还有。
For Frankie. Well, we thought we'd seen enough drama to last as a season last time out.
那个活动要怎么去啊？
就组成啊，组成那个，你现在看组成那个灰灰在那站在那里。
他不是要什么那个？
等下会有 NPC 出来，不用，什么都不用，你就 NPC 出来赶快点，赶快报名。哦，报名草那个都不要动，它会有那个问你要不要入场那个跳出来，你不要按掉就后面就停。对，就是报完名之后就不要动，放着，等那个问你要不要进场出来，你就按 yes 进去就对了。对，要按掉，它有5场，你按掉1场，后面的都5场，后面4场都进去了。对，你只要取消过1次，他就都不给你进去。都不给你玩。
Alex Marquez, that's the other 73, so he might get out of jail as a result of this as well. Of course, it's a complete restart. The red flag brought out, less than 3 laps completed, so the original grid is reformed.
慢慢洗，不要洗太快。
Just look at this start, and this is the replay of Alex Marquez going through the gearbox. Look at the start that he made, and then he went down. All right, for the restart, a 3-lap race. This has not been completed. Well, the Marquez brothers. They need to go and buy a lottery ticket, don't they, tonight? Because it looks like the pair of them. And F-Ben's got a real clattering. Look at this. Through Maggots and Beckett's, the front washing out from underneath Marc Marquez. At this stage, of course, he's thinking, what have I done? I've crashed out of the lead just as he did in Austin, Texas a few races ago. But to the rescue for the red Ducati star is the red flag here at Silverstone.
Yeah, that was panic Marc Marquez hit as he came through the runoff. It's there for 2 reasons. It's there, of course, if the rider does hit it, so that it's not a hard impact, but it's there to tell the riders which way to go when they shortcut the corner, and Marc Marquez cleaned all those out of the way. But he was 10-pin bowling. He, of course, immediately got that bike up. Get into the pits. I'm not out of this race yet, and this race will now restart with Quartararo back on pole, of course, and Marc Marquez back from 4th on the grid. Alex Marquez will have a chance to retake 2nd on the grid.
How much more drama can we cope with in MotoGP in 2025? You can see here safety delegates from the FIM and Dorna just checking that oil spillage into Vale. Let's go down to Jack in pit lane.
Yeah, still no Alex Marquez in the box though. This is the big problem. He crashed on the outside of turn 1. This is a big complex. They've got to try get him back in time. The big question for Alex Marquez as well, if they can't recover the bike, is what tyres does he have left in his allocation to be able to restart the Grand Prix? Because of course, these guys plan everything methodically right down to the final race. So let's see what he's got available. He might have to go out
会地震吗？
没有，你要喝白水，其实喝打完喝白水都好，就都还好。那你喝红酒一定都喝不出来。
A new suit and a new chance here for Marc Marquez. He probably cannot believe his luck, can he? I mean, was it even 10 seconds after he'd come to a rest, going towards the chapel curve, having crashed with Magnussen Beckett when the red flag came out?
There's a lot of nervous people there in the Grassini box. Here comes Alex Marquez then. He has now returned to the paddock and understandably he is legging it straight into the back of the Grassini garage. He'll now go and change leathers in the trunk. It's the quickest costume change of Alex Marquez's life. There is no announcement yet of a restart time. They will get at least 5 minutes notice before restart time is announced. So Alex Marquez has a little bit of time here, but he will now know that he's got a major second opportunity.
So both Alex and Marc Marquez crash out of the lead early on in this British Grand Prix. Alex down at the very first corner, having got the whole shot for Grassini Racing at turn 1. This was Frankie Morbidelli's crash damaged Ducati GP24. Not quite sure what happened in the instant between him and Aleix Espargaro, but the liquid spilled out onto the circuit was the reason why the red flag was waved. And as you can see, all riders eligible for the restart as 3 laps race distance are not being completed before the red flag. A familiar face to many of you at home there, rider safety together. Loris Capirossi just checking the service conditions.
No love lost here.
That's a round and a half, isn't it, from Frankie Morbidelli? Remember Qatar at the end of 2023, where there was more than a frank exchange of opinions. Was Aleix busted a €10,000 fine for smacking Frankie around the bonds?
Yeah, and he looked like he was going to try and deal out something similar there, judging by the body language and the look in the eyes of the respective parties involved in that one. We certainly saw in the immediate aftermath of that incident Aleix looking at Frankie Morbidelli and shaking his head, but we haven't seen any footage of that.
Well, what did we say on the warm-up lap? There is seldom a dull British Grand Prix, and this one has not disappointed once again, has it? I mean, when was the last time we had a Grand Prix race where 2 riders crashed out the lead and then they're going to still make a restart and potentially still have a chance to win this British Grand Prix? Quite astonishing.
Pure good fortune, because we repeat, neither Alex nor Marc Marquez's crashes were anything to do with the oil spillage that was down at Vale. They have got away with one big time.
They really have. They really have, haven't they? I mean, this is not for the first time this season. Marc Marquez crashed out of a commanding lead of over 2 seconds at his beloved Austin in Texas at round 3. He was the big pre-race favourite in Jerez in front of well over 100,000 adoring Spanish fans when he crashed out of 3rd place. This is starting to have a bit of a familiar feeling, isn't it? The 3rd time in 7 Grand Prix that Marc Marquez has crashed out of podium contention. The 2nd time he's done it when leading.
On the 2nd lap as well, as he was in Jerez when he was up to So that is the offending area of the racetrack. That is the cause for the stoppage. Let's get an update on Marc Marquez from Jack in pit lane.
He's going to have to do the restart on his number 2 bike, guys. They were having a look at the bike that he crashed, and there's far too much damage on the right-hand side for them to be able to repair in time. So he's going to make the switch across to the number 2 bike. You might be able to hear in the background as well. That is Alex Marquez's number 2 bike that the Grassini team are warming up and getting ready.
Yeah, thanks very much for those observations, Jack. I don't think the old ticker can take much more of this in 2025 after what happened at the French Grand Prix in Le Mans a couple of weeks ago. We have yet more high drama in the high-stakes British Grand Prix. Still no, we're just getting confirmation. Pit lane will open at 20 past the hour for a quick start procedure. Just flash on your screen. Quick restart procedure starts at 1:20 p.m. local time. The pit lane exit open for 60 seconds. Ahead of the sighting lap, original grip positions, and all riders are eligible. This is the key wording, is that all riders are eligible, which means Alex and Marc Marquez eligible for the restart. Race reduced to 19 laps, so the pit lane will open in just under 5 minutes time. 60 seconds the pit lane will go before, and then we'll have the quick restart procedure in action for the 2nd Grand Prix in a row. But decisively and crucially
谁晕我
For Alex and Marc Marquez, they can take their place back on the grid for the British Grand Prix 2025. Take 2.
So this is what happened. This is from the CCTV footage. Frankie Morbidelli just took back the picture, and it looked like a leash there crashed and hit the side of Frankie Morbidelli. If you were to unfortunately blame there, you'd certainly give it to the experienced Honda rider. I think he's explained to Frankie Morbidelli what happened there. Morbidelli, very calm, well, as calm as you ever see from those two, because they're not particularly most demonstrative. Certainly Frankie Morbidelli isn't, but you could see through the visor into the eyes of Frankie Morbidelli, fury in his eyes, his chest, but very little that he could do about that. Aleix Espargaro crashing from about 20 metres further back and just cleaning it up.
Frankie was like, me?
Yeah.
Me? What are you talking about? Able to take his place on the grid, so he is going to make his 200th Grand Prix start after all. After a few cherries on the children's birthday celebration cake this morning. Original grid positions then will come into effect for the restart. So that means Alex Marquez will once again launch away from second place. He will certainly be a lot more cautious and conservative on the brakes into Abbott this time around. And Marc Marquez, he will line up once again He has talked about how these mistakes early on, or big mistakes costing big points in the championship, like he threw away in Austria and in Jerez. He said they have to stop. You can't fight for a world championship at this level when you're making blunders galore like he has been. He really has been given a massive, a monumental slice of luck today. Alex, to be fair.
He's clearing your mind now, getting ready for this restart, trying to protect what we just saw in those first 15 minutes did not happen. As essentially, as far as the race is concerned, it didn't. We're going to start again from zero. I guess if there were two riders who will be feeling that they were out of luck there, I guess it would be Fabio Quartararo and Pecco Bagnaia, who were still upright and were running in a very comfortable and clear first and second in that race. Quartararo about a 1 second lead over Pecco Bagnaia, who was running in second place, and of course with the two markers out of play, surely it would have been between those two for Grand Prix victory this afternoon. We reset to zero once again.
So, Michele Gresini Racing told Jack Appleyard that pre-start one here at Silverstone. Patience is the name of the game in this British Grand Prix. In these cool conditions, you have to bide your time. You have to push as hard as you dare while thinking about getting temperature in those Michelin tyres. Both Marquez brothers were caught cold, weren't they? But they get to do it all over again. We are 80 seconds or so away from the pit lane opening. The green light will come on. Pit lane will be open then for 60 seconds and we'll be underway for the quick restart procedure. Great job as always by the local organisation and the marshals here to clean up the spillage. The leaks from Frankie Morbidelli's Ducati GP24, that's coming through turn 17.
Getting quite a lot of practice of this quick restart procedure nowadays, aren't we, in 2025? We've already seen it on a couple of occasions this season when weather has intervened. This time it's an oil spillage on the racetrack that has caused the stoppage, so the pit lane, as Matt said, will be open for 1 minute. They will immediately head out for an exciting lap of this Silverstone circuit. Once one mechanic from each rider's respective crew meets them on the grid and confirms that everything is present, the laps will immediately begin.
Yeah, we'll have a second crack at it here at Silverstone, won't we?
他今天比如说今天有5场可以打，可是他凭证只能买1张而已。
了解了解。
对，就要等下一次再多1张2张这样慢慢。让他一级提升上去这样。然后等下就45分，8点45。他半个小时一场，打5场。
A rather fortuitous second attempt at British Grand Prix glory this year are both Alex and Marc Marquez.
但我刚把我会长给爆掉了，好。我在想要入会还是重做？
所以现在可以打那个吧，打那个灵魂石吧。
可以啊。我应该也有吧。
Mark and Alex
哎呦
Marquez did
，120
have
赢5
fresh
千，
backup
这
tyres
样子累。
available. They both have brand
那
new
不
medium
要不会
front and medium rear tyres. Shortened 90 lap British Grand Prix.
那个比较好，你那个腰够好，120可以赢5000多。
Heads out to the grid as well. He of course had another motorcycle available. No further action taken as a result of that incident between Frankie Morbidelli and Aleix Spargo. We only saw the sort of grainy CCTV footage of it. It just like Aleix Spargo had his own accident really, and that accident made its way up into Vale Corner and cleaned out Frankie Morbidelli.
哦，不去，开心。
to take this restart, as Jack mentioned, perhaps the key change from the first start to the second is that both Alex and Marquez are having to take this restart on their two bikes. They damaged their first bikes too much in their respective bikes.
那这样我去赎回好了，把那件赎回。
Here's where Marquez had a crash. They took those padding. Largely what to call them back into place. Marquez had
哇塞，
inform the riders and they did take that short cut down Hamilton.
巴科就拉走了啦，巴科就输出太高。
On track and part of this restart after, I guess, indirectly, the red flag that he caused on the second lap.
So, second exciting lap of the day, MotoGP about to be concluded. This is where all the drama unfolded, one of several dramatic moments in the initial brief running. The 2025 Silverstone action through, it was the contact between Aleix Spargo and Frankie Morbidelli, and then the resulting oil spillage was the reason for our short delay, and the reason why. Can't believe their luck, can they? Both Alex and Marquez do line up then for this 19-lap restart.
又要买保护了，
To be
干。
completed. Coming very late to the grid here. Lining up on pole position for the third race in succession will be Fabio Quartararo, who will be greeted by his monster Yamaha crew.
米
Everything's A-OK. Everything's in full working order.
哦，
And the
那
field
是好哦，
for
有加运命哦。哦， 嗯，
race action.
对，那是我有吃，干，因为他是提示我就吃了，吃了才在后悔，干。
Certainly be a lot more cautious when he attacks into Abbey. I mean, right here, scarcely any lean out at all in the first running. Went down hard at the first corner. Alex at that point. Well, I'll be going to Aragon,
对啊，
possibly nearly 50 points back in the world
因为
championship.
无你就爱食贵妇的啊，对啊，啊无你食迄哪有效？你若要安尼食，你就老咧合金变好啊，
Marquez brothers have really,
对。
really dodged the bullet.
对啦，哎呀，做最张的啦，风格不好跑，对啊，慢慢弄，不用去急着弄它。第六，
红的车还冇人头前，
红的这还我头前，加五咯，第六，啊，今年又跑，第六，加排步啊，对。
As it is, we are ready for a restarted British Grand Prix in 2025.
干，20张用干，
11th different winner
咱的魔法师
in
的
the
新版
last
的
11
那
races
个魔
here.
品的，
Fabio Quartararo
对啊，这模式亏了就好啊。
旁边有人哦，我刚有看到一个什么坐骑哥，
可以啊，他应该就是被练功而已，我打不到他，我卡住了。 出来，我出来了。那你一直跑，怪会越来越多。不要跑，打不到他。揍他！八哥怎么没来？做几个啊？叫八哥去射他就好了，他就一直闪水。
Alex Marquez, I guess, through turn one safely.
Quattararo looking to come straight at the inside of Bagnaia. Marquez pulled
对啊，我话实话。
我可以尽量，我可以帮你补一点啊。
到有1年到。
And entry is Zarco, your French Grand Prix winner. Quattararo, that is, that leads ahead of Bagnaia. Mark in third place. Alex back to fourth. Understandably, a little bit cautious on this opening lap.
Quattararo there as he was trying to get his power down into the Aldeguer going wide. One of the KTMs also sailing wide into Brooklands, but the Ducati battle is on for second and third as Zarco's trying to make any progress as he contacts with Alex Marquez.
Yeah, Miller already picked up Alex going into turn 6. Understandably here, you can understand why Alex is just so hesitant, so cautious and conservative. Front end lock that he had. Going into turn 1 as well, Aldeguer. It was certainly one of the Brazilian captains, wasn't it? It was Aldeguer on the first qualify. And there is Alex Marquez who's had contact already with Zarco. It's been an eventful start to this second Grand Prix for Alex.
It's quite cautious too. Look, Miller's climbing all over the back of him now after initially attacking Bagnaia. Marc Marquez is now under pressure from the second of the Yamaha. So it's Yamaha 1 and 4, Ducati 2 and 3.
他补那个补止血啊，他会拉伸度啊，这个蛮的，他慢波兔是里面外面的，里面的还没出。我再去买归零高干多吉下来，再买20单到10。人有没有溜？六，来。
We now have a Yamaha 1-2 here at Silverstone. That was aggressive by Miller through on Bagnaia at Brooklands.
Look at the lead that Quattararo's got. 1.7 seconds now over Jack Miller. Of course, Ducati understandably, their riders are bigger than the closest Marc Marquez. So into Cops corner, that's going to let Zarco and his brother through.
人也烧完了。
Towards Magnus and Vekis. This is brilliant, isn't it? Once again by Zarco. He also on one of those soft front tyres as well, and he's making it pay big time early on here. Out of your shot here, runaway race leader Fabio Quattararo, who has long gone. He's 2.2 seconds clear. This battle of a second
还没吧？项链那个帕拉斯项链。
还没掉。
我再放3颗进去。
好。
我只有1颗，今天都没打完，所以我只有1颗，我也放进去了。这个跑武功不好找，
加减少。
对啊，加减少。有蛮多东西的吧，至少有那个祝福卷，有强化，对吧？
哎，我补他。
还有啊，哇！ 会比赛啊，这里可以飞了。啊，下一期
这个都是随机的吗？
对，他网都几乎都随机，只有几只是固定的，其他都随机，不然就是一个范围，然后有些范围很大。
没有，是在大陆地区那个范围，就是你没办法顺利。你可能觉得大奖，而且那个你知道吗？你刚刚也造了。
Both of the factory Ducatis sailing wide. Marc Marquez is now behind the Ducati. I think they're outside the top 10 now.
这样也好啊。
Marc Marquez is now 9th. Bagnaia is now 10th. They are way
不会
out
一
of
出网就
contention
死
now
了。
on lap 4.
Unreal drama this. Marquez almost cleans into the back of Johan Zarco, and then also sucked in, wasn't it, into Cops. The two factory Ducatis then. Well wide. They just can't get the bike stopped and turned in with that medium front, can they? At all. Quattararo's lead now is pretty much close to 3 seconds, coming from a long way back there. Thinking about moving was Marco Bezzecchi on the factory Aprilia.
Still very early stages, but of course Ducati lost their winning streak last time out in Le Mans. They've not even got a rider on the podium at the moment. It's Yamaha, Honda, and here comes the Aprilia through of Marco Bezzecchi. He's now through on Juan Mir into 5th place. He's right behind Alex Marquez. The Ducatis are having an absolute nightmare here at Silverstone.
Oliveira on the KTM in Buram 2022. Alex Fritz on the Suzuki. Philip Island 2022. The last time Ducati saw back-to-back defeats. Miller just set his fastest lap of the Grand Prix. A 2:00.6. That's still half a second behind the pace that leader Quattararo is running.
For reference, Quattararo is only 4.6 seconds ahead of Alex Marquez, who's now been overtaken by Bezzecchi. It's now Yamaha, Honda, Aprilia inside your top 4. Marc Marquez is 5.7 seconds off the lead. Pecco Bagnaia is 6.5 seconds off the lead. It's going to take something truly heroic for them to win from there.
Crikey, when was the last time 3 Japanese bikes finished on a MotoGP podium? Bagnaia is having an absolute nightmare. He's having a Silverstone shocker here, right, isn't he now? Birthday boy Pedro Acosta, 21 today, finds a way through on the fast-fading Italian. Oh, he's gone down! Well, that was coming. That was coming. Just absolutely zero feeling in the front end of that factory Ducati. He's been off the track already once in this Grand Prix, and going through Lovefield mid-corner, the vague feeling on the front cost Pecco Bagnaia as he goes down. Marco Bezzecchi now is on the charge. I think Bez has just picked up 3rd place from Johan Zarco. So Bagnaia's desperate weekend sees him on the floor at Lovefield.
Bezzecchi might be the big threat here to Fabio Quattararo. He's now up into 3rd place, and we saw how good he was on his tyres yesterday. Fabio Quattararo is 3.5 seconds up the road from Jack Miller in 2nd place, and this is your battle for 3rd between the Aprilia of Marco Bezzecchi, the Honda of Johan Zarco. Alex Marquez is having a tough afternoon in 5th, but he's still way ahead of his championship rivals.
The British Grand Prix in 2021, the last Grand Prix that Ducati did not have one bike on the podium. There is Bagnaia's desperate end to this British Grand Prix as he loses more crucial ground in the championship. Right, at the front, let's try and catch our breath. Quattararo is back in the 59s. This is awesome pace, isn't it? By the Frenchman. He's 4 seconds clear, and nobody could hold a candle to the 2021 World Champion.
发哥，你不要进来啊，去旁边啊！
His personal best lap of 2:00.266. That was 6/10 faster than Miller in 2nd place.
Top 4, as you can see there, all on that soft front tyre. That has proven at this stage of the Grand Prix to be the perfect pick. Now we are still only at 1/4 distance in this British Grand Prix. Lap 5 of our shortened distance of 19. So the medium front tyre might well come back into this in the latter stages. But boy, has Quattararo giving himself some headroom at the front.
We told you so. There's never a dull Grand Prix at Silverstone, is there? And this one is going to potentially be another all-time classic. Marquez working his way back through after his big mistake at Copse a couple of laps ago. He's found a way through on factory Honda rider Luca Marini. Just a reminder, of course, you can vote for your rider of the race. go online, or you can use the QR code there in the bottom right corner of your screens. I'm sure there's a lot of votes right now going for Fabio Quartararo. Miller and Bezzecchi, I'm sure, catching your eye back at home as they fight it out for the podium as well.
有啊，他的 boss 挑战馆要来去打一下了。
He can now manage that front tyre and of course his rear tyre, which could be an issue later on. He's got a 4-second comfort zone over Jack Miller in second place.
对啊，选手们嘛是，你嘛是爱带人去拍地啊，大家不爱蒙你其他人。对啊。
That's going to potentially leave him susceptible to a move from Morbidelli on the run down to Stowe corner.
还不到，还不到吗？还可以啊。
In the sprint over 10 laps, yeah, half race distance. Yamaha were the only factory on the soft front in that sprint that didn't suffer any graining issues whatsoever. So you can understand why Yamaha, their top Yamaha riders, went for the soft front. We are, though, coming towards uncharted territory. As Piero Taramassa, Mixed Motorsport Manager, said, soft front has done nowhere near full race distance. We're not at the halfway point of this Grand Prix.
应该是吧？照发哥这样讲，应该就是。
And he's still the fastest rider on circuit. Only just though, next fastest rider was Johan Zarco in fourth place, who matched Quartararo on a 2:0.03. Miller's pace did drop off. He was nearly in the 2:01s last time around. As I mentioned earlier on, Quartararo will feel particularly happy as long as it is another Yamaha.
Get the start, get the whole shot, push like a demon on the first laps on that soft front tyre, and then just try and stage manage the drop off in the sort of latter stages of the race. He's still got a lot of racing to do here around Silverstone. Running on 6 of 19. He's running away with it right now.
找不到就在最右边那边。
seconds clear of Miller. You fear for Miller because he's starting to come under real big pressure from the likes of Bezzecchi and Zarco. Still doing an outstanding job by the Aussies, isn't he? On course for what will be an incredibly rare Yamaha 1-2.
If you're just tuning in now, this situation will need quite some explaining at the front of the field. In the last 35 minutes or so, we've seen both Marquez brothers crash. We've seen a red flag for a combination, a collision between Frankie Morbidelli and Alicia Spargaro. We've then had a restart where Fabio Quartararo has scampered off the road.
他躲在海边，我走上来，他走过来的，不然他在最边边的。你心情不好，被海被黄怕。
一出生就是注定被打的。
对，知道要被打的，心情不好。衣服，这是衣服底。随便飞，衣服3。哎呦，打到灰灰，不好意思。
Well on course here for successive podiums in completely different conditions. The Honda works in the rain, the Honda works in the dry, doesn't it? Brilliant this once again by Zarco.
This will now be interesting. Bezzecchi now in clear tarmac in second place, although he might not be in clear tarmac for long. The Frenchman, Johan Zarco, winner in the French Grand Prix a couple of weeks ago, might be taking second place quite soon. But what kind of pace does Marco Bezzecchi now have up his sleeve without any traffic up ahead of him? And is it the kind of pace that could still, later on, bring him onto terms with Fabio Quartararo? That 5.5 second lead might sound like a lot, but if Quartararo has taken too much out of that soft front tyre, that could easily still close up.
Quartararo can't ease off too much, because if you do, you're in danger of then losing temperature in that front tyre in these really windy and blustery conditions. You have to consider that as a possibility as well. Joan Mears having a good strong ride in 7th place in the faction Honda. Just keeping an eye on his progress. 2:00.399 on the last lap. 4 tenths faster than Alex Marquez.